fumbled inside the Bills' 20 in the game's final minute. New England lost its fourth straight, and they are now 2-5 for the first time since 2000, and that was Belichick's first season as Patriots head coach. The coach and the quarterback talked on WEEI earlier today.
There's not a person out there that's going to be more critical of how Cam Newton plays outside of Cam Newton, and that's just a fact. So, whatever a person may think or say, they're right. I just got to prove my worth and prove myself right before I can combat another person.
We paid Cam Newton $1 million. I mean, it's obvious we didn't have any money. It's nobody's fault. That's what we did the last 5 years. We sold out and won 3 Super Bowls, played in the fourth, and played in an AFC Championship game. This year we had less to work with. It's not an excuse. It's just a fact.
All right, that's pretty transparent there by Bill Belichick. Mort's back with us live now on SportsCenter. And now we're talking the Patriots. So the trade deadline, Mort, is less than 24 hours away. From what you're hearing, are the Patriots going to be sellers tomorrow?
I think they are going to be open for business if somebody wants to call and make an offer that they can't refuse. I think the player that people were kind of focused on is Stephon Gilmore, who just last season was the Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. But he was hoping for a big new contract after the season because there's been a lot of corners come in with gigantic deals. He was making really good money, but that raise never happened. They moved some money around for him. And then this past week, we saw him get bumped up and bumped around in practice on Thursday. Didn't play Sunday against Buffalo, and all of a sudden, I think if somebody called and made an offer for Stephon Gilmore, if it was the right offer, I think they would listen.
All right. Now, Mort, obviously, COVID-19 has played a major role in the NFL season this year. You have some news on the NFL's contingency plans. What is it?
Yeah, Ryan, I just got off the phone during the commercial break, and a source said that the competition committee had a long conference call today about contingencies and prepared as this pandemic obviously is not going away. We know what the numbers are spiking. And if for some reason there are games lost, then what they are going to put forth as a resolution to the owners eventually is if games are lost, then there will be 8 teams in each conference, 4 first-place teams in the NFC, 4 first-place teams in the AFC, and then 4 additional teams in each conference. So that would be 16 teams in all for the playoffs, and they would be seeded accordingly. So they're getting ready for the different contingencies as they see these COVID number spikes. And today was a real working day for that competition committee, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it going forward.
That could be a very interesting development. Now, what would trigger this expansion?
If we start to see some games postponed, and they always felt like once we got through all the bye weeks where teams have lost their bye weeks and you really can't move things around, and people say, well, that's what the 18th, you just use the 18th week, use that week. Well, if one of those teams has to make up 2 games, that's not going to work. So, in 1981, this league played a 9-game regular season and then did this similar seeding process that we're talking about. So I think what would trigger it is if a Week 18 doesn't make sense because there's multiple teams, a team or multiple teams that have more than 1 game to make up without any buys left on the schedule.
It's been a question all along. What would happen if a week had to disappear or certain games were canceled? It's interesting to see that they're developing these contingency plans just in case something like that happens. Mort, thank you for that interesting breaking news right there. Really appreciate it.